talk about freezing berries. Now you'd think right off the top of your head that one berry is going to be frozen the same way another one is, but you really have quite a few options, and depending on what berry you're starting with and what you want to do with the berry at the end, it really makes a difference what you do at this point in time. So we'll start with strawberries. Now this is one of the more popular things. They're easy to do. One of the ways that's fairly common is simply to take the berries, put them out on a cookie sheet, let them freeze into little rock hard berries, and then put them into freezer bags or freezer containers in some way. And that can work. However, for strawberries, don't freeze that well without sugar. You end up losing a lot of the flavor, you lose the texture. When you use them frozen dry like that, you really need to use them so they still have some ice crystals in them if you want to put them in a salad or on top of a cake or ice cream or anything like that, for them to give you the best performance. So we're going to try a different option. Now you also have a second option beyond the one that I'm going to show you. I've got about a pound of strawberries here, and I'm going to do a dry sugar pack. So we're simply going to incorporate some sugar over the top of them, and for a pound of berries you'd actually want to use about a half a cup of sugar, which is about what I've got here, and stir that in so that it has time for the sugar to start reacting with that and pulling some of the juice out, and that juice is going to help protect the flavor. It's also going to help protect the quality of the berry. Now you do have a lot of sugar here, but think of it again, as I said, what are you going to do with the berries later? If you're going to use them in something where you're going to cook and you're going to add sugar, what you need to do as you put them into a freezer bag or a freezer container is write on the bag not only how many berries you have here, but how much sugar you added at that point in time, so that later on when you're going to use them, you subtract that amount of sugar from the recipe, and that enables you to go through the process without adding any more sugar than you were going to add on anyway. Now you have a couple of options as far as what you're going to freeze them in. These are going to sit like this for about 15 minutes. And that's going to give that time for the juice to be pulled out of the berry. Another option would be to make a 50% sugar, 50% water, so it's a 1-to-1 ratio, 1 cup of water, 1 cup of sugar, syrup. Put them into some kind of a solid container such as this, probably bigger for this number of berries, but put them into something like that and pour the sugar syrup over them, and that's also going to protect them. The disadvantage with that one is that they're going to be in bigger chunks, and you're going to have to pretty much thaw them pretty well before you can actually use the berries. So we have those two options for packing. You can either package them in something flexible like this, which works very well. However, because berries are not going to be flat, they're going to be more difficult to store in the freezer. They're not going to be uniform. So a solid container might be a better option in that case, because you can stack them and not have to worry about them. So that's strawberries. Now some berries freeze excellently without adding any sugar to them. And blueberries, gooseberries, these are examples of berries that you don't need to add anything to. There are a couple of differences, however. These are blueberries, fresh from the garden, and you can spread them out here. A dry pack works terrific here. They hold up very, very well. You simply want to make sure that you have the stems off, spread them out so that they're in one layer, put this into the freezer, and when they're frozen solid, then they can either go into this kind of container or into this kind of a container. Mark them with what's in there, what the year is, so that you know how long they have been in the freezer, and you're ready to go from there. The difference between these and most other fruits, blueberries do not want to be frozen before they go in the freezer. They want you to wash them off while they're still frozen after. If you wash them before you freeze them, that tends to dry out the skin on the berry, and you get something that's very tough. So if you want more tender berries, if you've had that issue in the past, because a lot of folks, whether they're growing blueberries or not, they'll go on sale, you go to the market, you bring them home, you rinse them off, you put them in the freezer, and then you don't get as good a quality. So if you've had problems with the quality of your blueberries when you thaw them out, don't wash them first. Just spread them out on here, put them in the freezer. When they're frozen solid, you can store them in something like this, and we'll see if I can get them to go into our container here, because I want to talk to you a little bit about headspace as well. Always risky when I'm going something like this. And there goes one. You want to fill this out and leave headspace. Now, even if you're dry packing, you want to have some space because there's water in the berries, and you want to leave room for them to expand, but you don't want to leave so much room in there that you get a lot of ice crystal formation, because there will be some cells that will rupture and you'll get some of the water coming out. So what I like to do is leave at least have a half an inch of headspace on here, and the material that you'll be able to get online about this episode will tell you all about freezing different kinds of berries, including headspace and different kinds of syrups. But I want to fill that headspace up. I want to leave it as much as I can so that we can have expansion, whether I'm doing a dry pack, a sugar pack, or a syrup pack. So I take wax paper. Now, as wax paper freezes, or as the berries freeze, that wax paper is just going to continue to crumple up into a tighter and tighter mass, and so the berries can expand, but I've got that space filled, so I don't have a lot of air in there, which is going to improve the quality of the berry over the lifetime, maybe even extend the life of the berry in the freezer just a little bit. Remember, they're not eternal in there. You do want to use them within 6 months to a year, depending on how much headspace they have, whether or not you've got sugar in them and some things like that. But the more longer they're in the freezer, the longer or the more it's costing you, because you pay that freezer bill every month. And you may as well use them while you've got the best flavor, the best quality, and the best nutrition. I hope you'll try freezing some berries this summer. They're really great to have during those colder winter months. I hope you'll give it a shot. For Oklahoma Gardening, I'm Barbara Brown.